The deeper and deeper I go, I find what it is I should know. 'Cause it's just a matter of time that you'll reawaken your mind. Oh, come with me, come to know and find out what is truth. Then you'll know what's in store just for you. No more living a lie. I can look to the sky and say, I'm reawakening mine. Come to know and find out what is truth, yes. Then you'll know what's in store just for you. No more living a lie. I can look to the sky and say, I'm reawakening mine.
Happy Holy Day, Moors. Welcome to House of Reawakening Minds. House of Reawakening Minds exists to provide for the exploration and practice of spirituality in an enlightened community dedicated to honoring the myriad of sacred pathways to the universal creator. We are an awakening center for spiritual grounding, free thought, self-discovery, and Moorish science, a learning experience for all ages. Tonight, our National Grand Sheik, Taj Tarik Bey, and I are pleased to present 31 U.S.C. Subsection 3124, Exemption from Taxation. But before we begin, please be sure to like, share, and if you have not already done so, subscribe to our channel. Islam, Grand Sheik.
All right, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Vadi Makum.
Vadi Makum.
Bonabot. You know, one of the reasons why we chose this subject, you know, this is just another section of Confused About Taxes, is because they're holding back a lot of the dynamics of what you call the pushback or the effect of what's happening with the dumping of U.S. Treasury bonds that's not being promoted in the mainstream news. The reason I brought this up is many people who are conscious, who have been active, you know, conscious Moors and other Europeans who respect the Republic, who are preserving their estates, are exercising social and political rights, contrary to what most of our people are aware of. And because we're aware of the fact that they're covering up a lot of the actual depression, trying to hold it off till after the corporate election, right?
Mm-hmm.
For themselves. And meanwhile, they've been, as you already know, sending debt notes to two different places,
Mm-hmm.
major places in West Asia and next to Russia,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is really money laundering operation more than anything else, in real truth, right? Now, while we know that that's not the public feed.
Right.
However, the results of that doesn't remove the fact that it's going to injure a lot of people. This is why I brought this up. Now, relative to inheritances or right of inheritance, and as you already know, people who are national, right, have a natural right of inheritance that has been removed from them under the Sister QV trust operations of the straw man, you know, the 14th Amendment operations,
Mm-hmm.
which has been the standard of operations on the land for decades. And people have been fighting it, you know, with different methods. But what we want to do is give the people some point of research for themselves if they want to do something to help themselves, because we can't do it. And you already know whenever we're having these sessions, we can't literally teach them subject matter.
Right.
It never be allowed. And so a lot of times we'll hit on different things that appear unrelated, appear to be, but they're not. All right. So I want to bring this to your attention. And of course, with some of the original notes I want you to read this section right here.
Which
Here, and the promotion of the ignorance,
Mhm.
right? And then I want you to read this is the Florida House of Representatives. Now, you already know that we have presented this to the people, but they have to understand that this is operative now. And you know, the way people are trained, they think that things that happened in the 1800s has nothing to do with what's going on now.
Mhm.
Or things that take place in the 30s has nothing to do with what's going on right now, when that is both not true and it's dangerous for people not to be kept up on that. This is why it's like just like the brother Jalil was going to come on past week, and of course he had some things he had to deal with. Why forbidden civics,
Mhm.
and in much of what we talk about is actually forbidden civics, but to comprehend why it's forbidden is what we want to share.
Mhm.
And then of course the U.S.C is for those who find themselves tied in the system, particularly when they start discovering that the hedge funds of which their pensions and their 401ks have been tied to have been exhausted and they haven't been notified, right? And so keep in mind, one of the things that they've been doing politically with the so-called border issue with the immigration, etc., and the expenditures of FEMA's finances to support that, which was a political action. They're going to transfer a part of the problems that people are going to run into on them as if they did it, when actually it's the politicians covering up the fact that the bond system is collapsing. So you know they're not going to take responsibility, and you know because of the system being thoroughly corrupt, they're not going to jail themselves. That's for sure. So for people who have small businesses and people who are conscious of trying to protect the little that they have left, because keep in mind, like I said last month, right? What was going to happen in Florida,
Mhm.
that's already taken this. That's already on course, right? Including the flooding, right? Told you there's going to be underwater, but with the houses. So that's one of your major, what you call jewel points for real estate. So what's happening with a lot of Europeans that are in the upper middle class that our people generally aren't aware of because they don't relate, if you get the point. And this is not their kind of news, if you get the point. They're already starting class action suits against the Realtors Association and against the municipalities in collusion with the real estate associations for having all of these years been robbing these people with overassessment in order to tax them. And they've been laundering that finance among themselves, and including with the politicians. And so you already know, because the corruption is so deep, they're not going to fix it. Right?
Mhm.
That's for real. However, for among the people who are trying to help, and this includes people who are in their venues who are trying to restore the republic, i.e., the law of the land, and those who have been conscious but have not been aware of the weapons that have been used on them and that they are maturing, if you get the point. You know, it's sort of like an arrow has been shot and people know that these people are doing things to injure us, but we're still preoccupied living every day and don't see the arrow, and we're bringing it to their attention. All right, so I want you to read that and to put the people in the concept of mind of why we chose this, right, as this subject right now, right, for them to do the research on their own. We're giving them directional studies. All right.
So how much of This.
You're reading. Yeah, you're reading from here, and then you're going to go into the speech on the floor.
And I'm gonna read
And you,
all of that.
I'll read it if you can,
I mean, it's like a
because
book.
that's the subject matter.
Y'all, you want me to read the book? Greetings, y'all. Okay.
And of course, it's going to spur questions
Okay.
and concepts in your own mind. Then you'll relate to why we're even talking about this.
Okay.
Go ahead.
He's starting right here. The constitutions of the several states, as a requirement of being part of the union, must by law establish, support, and maintain a quote republican form of government, end quote. All of the states under the United States are republics and remain in harmony with the national constitution. This is basic to the state's political capacities to be accepted into the United States United States as a member state of the Union. No state constitution can be at variance with or be in conflict with the federal national constitution, being the quote unquote supreme law of the land, or of and for the United States of North America. The Constitution is the quote unquote supreme law of the land. This is to preserve the integrity of the people's freedom and liberties with the anciently descended spirit, quote, spirit of preserving, quote unquote, justice. The Constitution for the United States Republic sets the tone, the guidelines, and the spirit for all de jure and legitimate laws and legislation. Thus, the Constitution is the supreme national political covenant and binding contract between the people and the rightfully sanctioned government, which is in place for securing the inalienable rights of the people. For under our republican form of government, the people sanction to be governed. The Constitution prescribed and written jurisdictional authorizations, delegation of authority orders, DOAOS, are thusly and actually conditional and restricting licenses issued by the people through the Constitution, limitations and oath bound conditions and restrictions. This constitutes the limited authorities granted from the people to those chosen persons in government by virtue of its republican form and structure. Promotion of ignorance. See Article 4, Section 4. Upon these aforesaid lawful documents, DOAOs, the elected officers and officials are bound to act and to carry out their specified and limited fiduciary duties. This consciousness about obligations and duties should allay any claims about faults or misunderstandings to indistinctiveness. The officers' specified delegations clearly describe certain limited powers and authorities under designated departments made to allay any claims of faults to indistinctiveness. It clearly delegates certain limited powers and authority under designated departments of government. Outside of the aforesaid limited delegated powers, authorities, and jurisdictions, an organized government has no lawful, ethical, or rightful reason to exist. A government that does not rightfully nor lawfully represent and serve the people has no authority nor right to tax the people. An office is an assigned or delegated position, duty, or function specified within a structured social order, body politic, or government, with synonyms being appointment, place, post, position, situation, etc. Thus, an office commonly suggests a position of public trust, of duty, or of authority. Officer. Officer is an incumbent of an office or one who is, quote unquote, lawfully and by prescribed constitutional manner elected to or invested with an office, one who is charged by a superior power, particularly by government, with the authority and specified duty of exercising certain functions within that said social order or government. If persons holding public office or seats of government supersede or act outside of the designated parameters of the written constitution, contract, and or violate the limited delegated powers described by their particular office and department to which they are oath bound, then criminality is their charge. If the people become lax or passive in their neglect of preserving the republic, then corruption can be expected to run rampant and prove to be detrimental to the people. That same limit delegated sovereign authority of the government or people dedicated to the service of the people, if abused, would, could, and is often turned against them like a foreign enemy or foreign jurisdictional tyranny. This is why delegation of authority orders, DOAO, are deemed an important documented part of all and any quote unquote legitimate government. Violations made against these quote unquote right protecting governmental principles becomes evident when one reads the Constitution. It will reveal where and why the monopoly, quote unquote, monopoly party politicians have been self-centered, wishy-washy, getting rich at the people's expense. Unchecked, the politicians are wantonly doing whatever they please in contradiction to the people and at variance to the Constitution. This is why the supreme law is in place to protect the people from such arrogant perfidy. Now, this is the Trafficant letter,
Yes.
which Frand Sheik is often referred to. United States of North America, Speaker Representative James Trafficant Jr., Ohio, addressing the House of Representatives. Mr. Speaker, let me bring this is a small type. Mr. Speaker, we are here now in Chapter 11. Members of Congress are, I can't even see this, this is so small, are official trustees presiding over the greatest reorganization of any bankrupt entity in world history, the U.S. government. We are setting forth, hopefully, a blueprint for our future. There are some who say it is a coroner's report that will lend to our demise. Okay. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act, March 9th, 1933, 48 Statute 1, Public Law 89-7119, declared by President Roosevelt being bankrupt and insolvent, HJR, House Joint Resolution 192, 73rd Congress, in session, June 3rd. Is that a third or 5th? Is that a 5? 1933. Joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, dissolve the sovereign authority of the United States and the official capacities of all United States governmental officers, and departments, and is further evidence that the United States federal government exists today in name only. The receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers via the United Nations, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. All United States offices, officials, and departments are now operating within a de facto status in name only under emergency war powers, with the constitutional Republican form of government now dissolved. The receivers of the bankruptcy have adopted a new form of government for the United States. This new form of government is known as a democracy, being an established socialist/communist order under a new governor for America. This act was instituted and established by transferring and or placing the office of the Secretary of Treasury to that of the governor of the International Monetary Fund. Public Law 94-564, page 8, section HR 13955 reads in part, the U.S. Secretary of Treasury receives no compensation for representing the United States. Gold and silver was such a powerful money during the founding of the United States, little small u, small s, of America, that the founding fathers declared that only gold or silver coin can be quote unquote money in America. Since gold and silver coinage were heavy and inconvenient for a lot of transactions, they were stored in banks and a claim check was issued as a money substitute. People traded their coupons as money or currency. Currency is not money, but a money substitute. Redeemable currency must promise to pay a dollar equivalent in gold or silver money. Federal Reserve notes, FRNs, made no such promises and are not quote unquote money. A Federal Reserve note is a debt obligation of the federal United States government, not money. The federal United States government and the U.S. Congress were not and have never been authorized by the Constitution for the United States of America to issue currency of any kind, but only lawful money, gold and silver coins. It is essential that we comprehend the distinction between real money and paper money substitute. One cannot get rich by accumulating money substitutes. One can only get deeper into debt. We, the people, no longer have any quote unquote money. Most Americans have not been paid any quote unquote money for a very long time, perhaps, and not in their entire life. Now, do you comprehend why you feel broke? Now, do you understand why you are bankrupt along with the rest of the country? Federal Reserve notes, FRNs, are unsigned checks written on a closed account. FRNs are an inflatable paper system designed to create debt through inflation, which is devaluation of currency. Whenever there is an increase of the supply of a money substitute in the economy without a corresponding increase in gold and silver backing, inflation occurs. Inflation is an invisible form of taxation that irresponsible governments inflict on their citizens. The Federal Reserve Bank, who controls the supply and movement of FRNs, has everybody fooled. They have access to an unlimited supply of FRNs, paying only for the printing costs of what they need. Federal Reserve notes are nothing more than promissory notes for U.S. Treasury securities, T-bills, a promise to pay the debt to the Federal Reserve Bank. There is a fundamental difference between quote unquote paying and quote unquote discharging a debt. To pay a debt, you must pay with value or substance, i.e. gold, silver, barter, or commodity. With Federal Reserve notes, you can only discharge a debt. You cannot pay a debt with a debt currency system. You cannot reservice a debt with a currency that has no backing in value or substance. No contract in common law is valid unless backing in common law, unless it involves and exchange of quote unquote good and valuable considerations. Unpayable debt transfers power and control to the sovereign power structure that has no interest in money, law, equity, or justice because they have no such wealth already. No, because they have so much wealth already. Their lust is for power and control. Since the inception of central banking, they have controlled the fates of nations. The Federal Reserve System is based on the canon law and the principles of sovereignty protected in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. In fact, the international bankers used a canon law trust as their model, adding stock and naming it a joint stock trust. The U.S. Congress has passed a law making it illegal for any legal quote unquote person to duplicate a quote unquote joint stock trust in 1873. The Federal Reserve Act was legislated post facto to 1870, although post facto laws are strictly forbidden by the Constitution. The Federal Reserve System is a sovereign power structure separate and distinct from the federal United States government. The Federal Reserve is a maritime lender, and or maritime insurance underwriter to the federal United States, operating exclusively under Admiralty maritime law. The lender or underwriter bears the risk, and the maritime law compelling specific performance in paying the interest or premiums are the same. Assets of the debtor can also be hypothecated to pledge something, which means to pledge something as a security without taking possession of it as security by the lender or underwriter. The Federal Reserve Act stipulated that the interest on the debt was to be paid in gold. There was no stipulation in the Federal Reserve Act for ever paying the principal. Prior to 1913, most Americans owned clear allodial title to property free and clear of any liens or mortgages until the Federal Reserve Act 1913 hypothecated all property within the federal United States to the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, in which the trustees were stockholders held legal title. United States citizen, tenant, franchisee was registered as a quote unquote beneficiary of the trust via his or her birth certificate. In 1933, the federal United States hypothecated all of the present and future properties, assets, and labor of their quote unquote subjects, the 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, to the Federal Reserve System. In return, the Federal Reserve System agreed to extend the federal United States corporation all the credit, or quote unquote money substitute it needed. Like any other debtor, the federal United States government had to assign collateral and security to their creditors as a condition of the loan. Since the federal United States didn't have any assets, they assigned the private property of their quote unquote economic slaves, the U.S. citizens, as collateral against the unpayable federal debt. They also pledged the unincorporated federal territories, national parks, forests, birth certificates, and nonprofit organizations as collateral against the federal debt. All has already been transferred as payment to the international bankers. Unwittingly, America has returned to its pre-American Revolution feudal roots, whereby all land is held by a sovereign and the common people had no rights to hold allodial title to property. Once again, we the people are the tenants and sharecroppers, renting our own property from a sovereign in the guise of the Federal Reserve Bank. We, the people, have exchanged one master for another. This has been going on for over 80 years at the time of this writing, without the quote unquote informed knowledge of the American people, without a voice protesting loud enough. Now it's easy to grasp why America is fundamentally bankrupt. Why don't more people own their properties outright? Why are 90% of Americans mortgaged to the hilt and have little or no assets after all debts and liabilities have been paid? Why does it feel like you are working harder and harder and getting less and less? We are reaping what has been sown, and the results of our harvest is a painful bankruptcy and a foreclosure on American property, precious liberties, and a way of life. Few of our elected representatives in Washington, D.C. have dared to tell the truth. The federal United States is bankrupt. Our children will inherit this unpayable debt and the tyranny to enforce paying it. America has become completely bankrupt in world leadership, financial credit, and its reputation for courage, vision, and human rights. This is an undeclared economic war, bankruptcy, and economic slavery of the most corrupt order. Wake up, America. Take back your country.
Now, it's not new to us, but I want to say this. That's current affairs. Now, what do they have people doing now? Fighting each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Arguing about parties, right?
Mm-hmm.
Between Trump and President Harris, right?
Mm-hmm.
So President Harris had a few debates.
Vice President, VP. Okay.
President Harris.
President. Oh, okay.
President Harris. See, I'm talking
reality.
I'm telling the truth.
What's really going on? Okay.
No, I'm telling the truth.
Okay.
All right. I'm not saying what
they're saying.
I'm telling the truth.
All right.
But since that's of interest, let me qualify.
Mm-hmm.
The law, because remember, what you just read is what's going on. Right?
Yes.
You also recognize in the nature of what you just read, but you're reading it for them. This stuff we already know. We've been teaching this for.
Now, this was what? This was on March 17th,
93.
93. So my solar return
Mm-hmm.
in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now look at this. Now the uproar that our people are in right now, and others arguing about Trump and arguing about President Harris, not even knowing that she's President Harris, thinking that she's Vice President Harris because they don't know government. Because remember, civics is forbidden.
Right.
Right? Now, this stuff we've been sharing with people for years. How many people will argue with us or criticize us or troll us simply because we know this and we speak on it, and politicians don't speak on it, so they look at us as being out of order, out to lunch, not being honest. Meanwhile, the masses are following their own enslavement and bankruptcy without knowing it. And they're working every day. They're investing in the system, not knowing they don't own anything. They think they do. Now, from a point of our conversation, me knowing this even before this is one of the reasons. Now, I have multiple skills.
Mm-hmm.
And many people say to me, with the skills you have, Taj, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why do you keep your life so simple? Because I already know what's going on. It's not that the temptation ain't there, but I refuse to get on the hamster wheel and then still have it taken from me while the people won't support the truth. See, because if the people won't support the truth, we have no protection. And the more we invest in the system, the more we're investing in our own enslavement, not understanding that we are enslaved. Now, we know it's connotated, but we actually are. That's not opinion. Now, point I'm making, many of our people who are still on the hamster wheel, right? But are feeling the pain right now. Because remember, a lot of people that didn't believe us 2 years ago or 5 years ago or more, even though many people, you don't expect them to call Dr. G and say, Dr. G, you told us this 11 years ago over the House of Reawakening Minds. You've had multiple lessons, and, you know, I'm glad you didn't say we told you so. We're not trying to tell them so.
Yeah.
We're trying to help if they're willing to be helped. But only they can do it, meaning that we can't fix for people what they won't fix for themselves. We're collectively paying the price. Drew Ali said in 28, 25, 26, 27, 28. He said, help me in my great missionary work to bring my people back into the constitutional fold of government, enforcing our Constitution for the United States of America, right? Now, of course, the Constitution, Article 6, Article 3, Section 1 and 2 and 3, Article 6, Article 4, Section 4, Article 1, Section 10 establishes the obligations of those operatives to us.
Yeah, I noticed.
Now,
yeah, I noticed when I was reading, as many times as you have mentioned Trafficant letter, I never, it's different when you're reading it, because you're not only hearing it.
Have to remind yourself.
So after all those years you've been saying it, now I'm listening and seeing exactly what he was saying in terms of what the responsibility is of government, as it should be, as a republic form of government, to the people, that they are working, if you will, on the behalf of the people, which they've switched around. Obviously,
they flipped
the script, and we are listening, and we're being told what to do, what not to do. We're having liberties
We're
taken
under
away.
a tyranny and thinking that we're operating under a democracy.
And he's saying that in a real sense, when the government is not functioning as it should, the people have a right.
Now, back up a little bit and identify what you just confirmed. What many people are listening still don't get. You're identifying de facto,
right,
that we refer to, that many people still don't comprehend what we're saying. And some people even take offense of us sharing this information, thinking that we're attacking their interest. It's sort of like what you mentioned sometimes, the Stockholm Syndrome. We're trying to help the people, and many of the same people that we're trying to help and that we could have helped if they listened are attacking us.
You can, an example might be, say you have a business, and you hire, if you will, persons or people to work on your behalf to do certain things, and you give them specific tasks that they, and controls or whatever,
and you
whatever,
make a contract with them to do
X, Y. You're supposed to do X, Y and Z, or A, B, and C. And then you come to find out that these people are not only not doing A, B, and C, but they're usurping your authority. They're going
and your company, and they're
taking over,
transferred the funds, all the time. Not unlike the issue that we were talking about earlier about what happened with mail, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's treason. However, we're looking at the wrong and not often adding or identifying that this is treason. We're more or less examining the wrong and the corruption in government without talking the issue of treason. Now, the fact that it has not been addressed for all these generations, everybody's paying for it now. And even some people, just like it says with some of the politicians, they dare not tell the real truth. Why? Because they're guilty for not having said anything.
Right.
Even if they were not directly operative.
And this man lost his life.
That's now you understand the motive of the accident on his farm that years ago I would complain about. Because, you know, I talked to him, and I think it was what year, somewhere around the 89. I forget what year, but him and also a guy that worked for him. Right. I forget the exact date, but anyway, so I'm not unfamiliar with him in conversation. That's number one. But the point that I'm making is this: what you just read is the state of political affairs
to this day.
Right. Now, people who are soliciting our people to canvass the community to get people to sign up to vote are not aware that those votes, that those signatures are used for routing the 12 district areas of the Inquisition Revenue Services, IRS, to the sister QV, having nothing to do with any power of voting what they think they have whatsoever. And the real vote, while they got these people busy thinking that they have some voting rights, right? The Electoral College, owned by a certain group of people,
makes a decision.
Who in this area, one of their major places where they stay is in Brooklyn, New York, with dual citizenship, that have another organization that actually runs the Congress, and they're hiding behind BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard,
JP Morgan,
of which they own. And hold on, what a lot of people don't understand, the General Education Board that they also own and run. So we're trying to make erudite people who are coming through that system of mind control, not knowing, thinking that these entities are separate. It's not unlike it's not unlike giving the analogy of the tentacles of an octopus and thinking that the different tentacles are not the octopus. This is where, as we were talking about earlier, Dr. G, where many people, remember when I mentioned BlackRock? And I told you that's the United States, right? Who would know right now that the war in Ukraine and in Palestine right now, the major funder of that war is BlackRock? This is known. This is known. It's not talked about.
Okay.
Are we clear? Because remember, a lot of things that we talk about, people think that we're out to lunch. And you can understand that they would, if they lack knowing even this fundamental. Now, look at this, Dr. J. If you were in a position as a businesswoman investing in things, right? Say in the auto industry, in stock or something like that, or in different venues, and you would see stock prices jumping up and down and giving the appearances of advancement, and yet your actual books would be showing loss after loss after loss, and people would be losing jobs, and the politicians would be saying they added so many jobs to the venue, while in the real world people are losing their jobs, because the reality of it is that on multiple levels businesses are going bankrupt who are not your frontline corporate entities. Now look at this, Dr. G. How many intelligent people moving large levels of finance, right?
Wow.
Don't know what you just read.
I just pulled up something too.
Go ahead.
This is, I wanted to know what boards or where BlackRock's holdings are. Their major corporations or top holdings are Microsoft. I don't know what Nvidia.
Remember I told you Nvidia a month and a half ago. I told you about that being one, that being the at the time that I talked about a couple of months ago, and I mentioned that that was the only stock that was rising. Every other stock was falling. Now you kind of get concept.
Okay,
Keep on reading.
Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, and Meta, the Meta platforms that are coming up. New positions, new holdings. LabCorp, where we go get the book, right? Solventum Corporation, Spotify, Merck and Co. And Trump Media and Technology Group Corp. I don't know if that's Trump or what, but and their top industries are legal services, miscellaneous repair services, which means like you go in and rebuild after the destruction. Okay. And agriculture, production, livestock, and animal specialties.
What did I tell you when I came in here about the farming? Farmers right now are going bankrupt and they're not informing the public. Now you see how all those tentacles hide under BlackRock?
Yeah.
Hold on. Then you look at the corporate papers that I've been showing people forever. Then we go to Organic Act of Congress 1871 with the overthrow of the Republic. So people who don't comprehend would think that if we're talking Organic Act of Congress, February 2nd, 1871, what does it have to do with now? Like this is another century. This is not related. You're living it.
Yeah.
Now, point of it is, we know that's by training. It's not because people lack intelligence. We've been trained from childhood to respond to emotions distinguished from facts, right? Belief opinions competing with facts, which are uncomfortable. And then feeling pseudo-secured. Pull that up.
You want to pull it up? This? You want to see it? People are so entitled, don't they? Aren't they?
That has nothing to do with, they're not paying them to us.
What we're saying, I ask you to, we're looking at, we're paying taxes to a de facto government.
Which means not government. See,
not government.
Now notice how like even
I'm no, before you go there,
that's a legal
I'm
term.
assuming that this individual expects to come away from this conversation knowing the who, what, where, how, and what a lot of the things of technically how to do certain things we can't even have that conversation here.
They know it too.
We do.
No, they know that.
Well, not everybody doesn't know.
Yeah.
But we do have classes, when we have our fourth Friday class, which
is why we do that.
Right, where we are.
Now, has it ever been that you didn't say that? No, it's not. You've always, whatever you've always done, you made that last Friday for people to meet in person. This is where we can have more direct and open conversation.
And we've been bringing in some, heavy hitters that know exactly how to and have demonstrated this, if you will. And so we want to bring people on, and we do that in person so that those things are kept. Some people know how to do things within their own groups, and we want to put everything on straight on Front Street, and we can't.
However,
That's one of the reasons why I don't think we're successful.
Even when we present in the title, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've already directed them.
Yeah.
That's, you can't read for them.
Right.
No, meaning like you read this, right?
Yeah.
How many over a decade we've been sharing even what you just read, and people will still act like it's news. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yet they've been living it. And rather than hold these people who they have been supporting responsible, they'd rather attack us for telling them.
Well, one of the things, my brother, that you should do is look at the title, which we've given you, the U.S.C title, and now you know where to go and look.
Start studying. Take responsibility.
And see what it says that you have not been applying to your situation. And that's how, folks, we drop in breadcrumbs.
And it's back to what people saying, even with the hybrid Europeans, even when they do their movies, they will come back with this retort. You can't say that you weren't told.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't say that you didn't willingly follow them after being told the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You'd rather attack the messenger rather than take responsibility for your affairs, to take care of your business when someone has told you the truth.
Right.
And yet you would attack the one who tell you the truth rather than take responsibility to exercise that truth.
Right. I mean, this was enlightening to me, y'all. I was having trouble reading it because trust and believe.
The small print.
Even with the glasses on, this print, I don't know if you would have seen it. This is so little you can't even see it. It's like, it looks, so I was struggling, but I comprehended it after hearing about it for so many years. I have now a better comprehension and understanding of what this guy said and why they, unalived him, because
he was a representative
he was one of them
of Ohio.
Right. He was one of them, but yet he saw, the fraud that was going on, and he made it public. And I guess they couldn't take it out of the record
because it's in the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
Now,
and they just hoped that people wouldn't read it anyway. Just got buried.
Which is also why they spend so much effort. Here we are, ordinary people doing what we should be doing. Mm-hmm. Why is it that they spend so much time, even with the Southern Poverty Law Firm, directly, personally trolling and attacking us? Who are we? Informing the people on information that the politicians who have been monetizing them and actually sold them. What does this really also reveal? That the corporate operatives literally sold the people and their future property to the Federal Reserve.
I'm not sure what this is. It says you're not telling people about sacred covenant. Pactum de singularis kilum. I don't know what it is. You tell us what it is, Kevin Gunnell. Write it in there. I don't know what that is. I know you might know. Yeah. A lot of times, it's
all.
And I'm not trying to
discourage.
point you out, brother, the one that said what he was saying, but we're saying, we don't want you to be disappointed, but this is all of this stuff all has it relates. Why are things the way they are? In
other words, the people, we're all suffering for the people not taking responsibility. And even with some of the responses that you see, they're still trying to put their responsibility. That's what they call the sacrificial lamb syndrome. Mm-hmm. They're always looking for a sacrificial lamb to sacrifice, to take their responsibility rather than help. Meaning that if we see trash on the street and we see somebody picking up the trash, and you'll see somebody standing in the doorway across the street and over here complaining on how they're picking up the trash rather than getting out there and help to pick up the trash as if it doesn't affect them. And they'll find, oh, she's picking up the trash with a red shirt. Why does she have a red top on? It should be green, you'd really, and why is she doing it with gloves, rather than help? Now, the duty of the nationals and the citizens, the duties in civics is to enforce the law, right? That's also part of civics, right? Why is that
He
not taught?
responded, thank you. He said,
They want to.
he said, it's that everything that we don't or do, I don't know what it means do, is in the sacred covenant, pactum de singularis. I don't know what that is. Covenant of one. Well, thank you for that. And people,
thank you. Yes.
Thank you. And if anybody wants to look that up further, you can see that. Please, and thank you for that.
So you have a lot of good, and this is the other advantage too, Dr. J. Even though you have people that prefer to be irresponsible, you have light spirits that come out that actually share information. When you have people who have the courage to go against the grain and tell the truth in the storm of lies, it still draws out people who don't have a platform necessarily,
right,
to share. That's again,
there's a lot of people out there with a lot of knowledge.
Yes.
You all with a lot of knowledge. You study, and you
who care about humanity.
Chat, I know, is a place of meeting, and not just to listen to Frand Sheik and myself, but for you all to connect with one another and share what you have. And we have no problem with that, because this is
that's what has to happen. Because remember, even this outside of this is blocked. And even with many of you who would do this or share with this on a platform would be shut down if you're not careful on even how you share, which is again why a lot of times we will jump around on different subject matter to get people things and tell them to write things down, take notes. Because if you go deep into it, you already know what happened, but you already know the motive. Now, if they'll sacrifice their own, they aren't thinking about shutting your channel down or putting you in YouTube jail or stopping PayPal or anyone supporting you.
Yeah.
Because it's real politics. This is real politics. This is not opinionated. It's real. You're in the real world, right? The real other problem is, Dr. G, the people are in the course of finding out the really real world. Remember, these people haven't suffered much pain here. They're used to doing it to other people, but they haven't suffered here as much as people around the world. And what we're trying to do is alleviate some of what we know is coming, that we know a lot of people are going to be blindsided, meaning that when the storm comes, you can't really help people. It's just like the flood. When we talk about the flood, right? Before it happened, right? That was a message for some to move while they could. But that doesn't mean that they have to accept it because we say so.
Somebody is very well known. He's an author, and he does a lot, with the. Well, anyway, I just saw a post where their home, and I don't know, somewhere out in the Midwest, sold, and now they're getting ready to move to Florida. And I thought, why? Why are you moving to Florida? But maybe they know something that we don't, But to me, that would be the least or last place that would be
counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Now, this is again,
Dr. I'm not going to name them, but
this is again what I'm saying to you. We're not telling the truth to make people uncomfortable, though a lot of people take it that way. We're not telling the truth to attack people personally because they may hold another position. But we just don't have comfort telling a lie.
Yeah.
Or ignoring the truth when we know people are going to be suffering. They're suffering now, but they're going to be suffering even more so. And we're trying to interject or interfere with their capacity to cause the injury that they intend on the people.
No, she was saying she can't share it with her. And that's what a lot of folks go through that. But you He said, your vibe attracts your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And just
Mm-hmm.
you just got to find the people that you resonate with, that you vibrate with on the same level. And sometimes it's not the kinfolk.
And and it's like this is what that refers to in the Hilo tech. That same principle.
Mm-hmm.
If your right arm offends you, cut it off.
Cut it off.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
But we, being emotional and social beings, what do? We attach and we justify when we're biased about something. But nature doesn't recognize that. That's what that lesson is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, a storm did not deny you getting wet because you hold some belief that some big preacher told you.
I mean, I looked at the videos, as anybody with a heart, but I looked at the videos of that some people put out of the people and trying to the aftermath of the storm, and it just absolutely broke my heart more than any of the other. I mean, I'm not gonna say more than Katrina and stuff, but just of late, it was just to see that, and I'm thinking, how did these people even get to take the videos with what's going on? People almost getting blown out of their,
and even knowing that with private people, because most of that comes from private people,
right?
Even a lot of that's still being suppressed, but what even got through, is devastating,
right?
I've gotten messages from my son, Dr. Hannibal,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm relative to that,
right?
Because my granddaughter and everyone is down there.
I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah. But that's an issue. But I projected. Now remember, Drew had warned them more. She said the destruction will begin in the South. Now, so that was for. Now, some could listen, some don't have to.
What we've been told is the South, though.
Well, yes, but we already know what it means. Because we know everything's flipped.
Everything's flipped.
But at the same time, the point of it is people who use their intuitive mind, or people who are prophetess and people like that, are usually disrespected. Because you got flaws like everybody else. But people have a tendency to attack you personally rather than listen to what you're saying. Even if you're talking in real time, which we did actually the last couple sessions, even though a lot of people may not have picked it up. I don't usually do that, but I did it because I saw how devastating things were.
And and that it's going to get much worse before it gets
absolutely
better. And that's not to put anybody in fear, but to put people on notice and put us in an action mode.
But if you don't tell the warning, so you have the choice. You're going to cater to these people's feelings and emotions, and then watch death and destruction and people on the street taken out of their homes. Who today they feel secure. They got lights on. They can go to their mailbox and get a piece of paper and go to an ATM, and there's a sense of security that they don't know is going to be cut off. And then they're going to have to resort to the intelligence that they allege themselves to have. And I'm suggesting to you, many people are not capable of actually surviving without their umbilical cord to the system that not only is dismantling, but because of the corruption that they've caused around the world, are being attacked.
Here in North Carolina, the devastation is unreal. More than 10,000 have died.
And it's not in mainstream news.
Yeah, they're like, yeah.
We know that, and it's more than that. I said that even before it occurred.
Somebody kept saying it's the reset. It's the next it's the reset.
But we know that.
And see, you all, a lot of us were fooled into thinking the reset was when your dinar and your or whatever foreign currency was going to reset, and
now,
you was going.
What did you just? Currency is not money. See, even they're thinking they're going to subvert part of the trap by thinking currency is money, which means they're still in the matrix. You get the point?
Mhm.
The money is the gold and silver. Get over it.
Mhm.
Anything else is what? Debt.
Yeah.
How many people have taken the fiat that has some control to it and invested in any of the multiple digitals that have split over and over and over again, split over and over again, split over and over again, and they keep investing in it, and everything demonstrates that it's unstable and not fungible,
or invested, and then the thing
And
just collapsed.
Yeah, because that's the split.
Me.
No, I'm just saying that's the split.
This is what we need.
Is because they keep believing, they keep allowing them to control the narrative, even after they're told that they're lying.
Yeah.
Meaning that you can see that they're lying, but it has to do with people fearing the reality of having to demonstrate, function their intelligence, function their alleged spirituality. And what you find is that most people are really bare. They're caught bare, and they actually feel it. They don't talk about it. They feel it and they see it coming. And so they're still in denial. Problem that we have is it's on us now. It's not coming, it's on us now. Now, and I know, and I'm not even going to, waste my time trying to convince anyone. If it's a 2 out of 100 that's listening, we're sharing some information so they can, by their own will, simplify their life, redirect their energies to survive this thing.
Right.
That's on us, not coming. It's only being held back. It's on two fronts that's being held back. Part by the ancestors on a spirit lane level, and part by even the perpetrators, so that they're not put upon by exposure, if you get the point.
Mm-hmm.
This is another reason why I said earlier, when we talked about before, and I was saying to people, and I don't want people to misunderstand this. When Diddy is only used as a what you call a package or sales to put in front of the people,
mm-hmm.
and I said that he's the care, sacrifice, burning on the altar, the political altar.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well,
they're sacrificing some of the gatekeepers so that they can still remain in the shadows. Are we clear? You got to remember this. As we've been saying over the House of Reawakening Minds for years, the feedback loop is closing, right? And I said, watch Deutsche Bank. So that's Germany, right? Then, of course, the Treasury bonds, which we know most of the mortgage packages and derivatives are housed at Deutsche by the politicians here that these people think is their government, who are using trolls to attack us and others like us who are exposing any of this, right? We're not necessarily personally against them personally, but we know that they're sacrificing the people to maintain their corruption. And the people are defending them by attacking us because we're exposing things that they're invested in. It's almost like people take it personally because we're exposing situations that they themselves are attached to or have some dependency on,
mm-hmm.
and therefore they take it personal when it's not personal. And they're not exempt from the outcome either. But our argument or our presentment is not necessarily for them. It's for honest people out there who don't know they're getting ready to get broadsided, that they're already broadsided. They just haven't realized it because they haven't went into their 401ks. Like they have an account a dual ledger account that people are sitting around feeling psychologically secure in, but if they went to tap it, they would find that they have no access. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So while they're not trying to access, they think they're secure. They're not. It's all done. It's gone. And a lot of people won't go through the process because they don't want to find out what they feel inside anyway. They want to feel secure. You know what I mean? And it's psychological. Doesn't make them wrong. Who wants to feel insecure? Duh. However, the reality of it is we're not talking mere political opinion. We're talking about political reality that's upon us in the geopolitical world right now, that's being suppressed by mainstream news because they know that if too much gets out right now, you won't be talking about Russia and China and others. You would be directly going at both people in political offices, municipal, state, and federal, recognizing that they're the real enemy. And that's uncomfortable truth, but that's the real truth. And most of them have went in on jobs that deal with low 3 figures on up, right? Low 6 figures, I'm saying on up, and some 4 figure, 5 figures and stuff like that. And most of them don't understand, just like you see some people that are starting to use their common sense, particularly when the HARP action took place by certain corporate entities under the guise of a natural storm, which we try to indirectly warn people that they're going to be underwater, right? Hoping that we wouldn't get shut off, right? And try to give certain keys, bouncing around the place, getting certain keys, trying to get things through without getting shut down, right? Hoping people picked it up, if you get the point. Now, the deal of it is that for their interest, not for the people's interest, they're holding off a lot of the crash for their interest in controlling the operatives of the corporate United States, not country, corporate United States investments, while they liquidate certain stocks and prepare to grab up people's property that they themselves, in conspiracy with the assessment offices of the realtors and the politicians who've been robbing the people, who've been, transferring their estate, part of what you just read, right? And the people don't know that. And the people sitting around worrying about voting for them, and they're going to be coming back for these people's homes for pennies on the note.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, they're laundering, sending finance by the billions to 2 different main war centers.
Mm-hmm.
One starting with an I, one starting with a U. IOU. And they're multi-millionaires and some billionaires that our people are voting for, not knowing they became millionaires and billionaires because they have been systematically over the decades over-assessing people's houses, taxing them, and actually robbing the people, which we've been saying for years. And the problem that they're having is that the debts are being called and they don't control them all. So they can't continue to hide. So they're going to sacrifice the people. We've been telling these people this forever. They just don't believe that these people are that evil. They think that we're evil for talking about it.
Yeah.
However, it's on. It's not coming. It's on. They're juggling, trying to hide it. The wars are to hide it. The immigration is to hide it.
I want to say to the taxation exempt from taxes, taxation issue or matter. we do, like, again, for those who may not have understood what I was saying, we do have a I would call it an expert in that, who teaches and comes and teaches at House of Reawakening Minds on the 4 Fridays, and they will be here on next Friday, matter of fact. And we hope that some of you, if you can make it, I know it's a push for some, but we'll have I have to put up the banner so you'll know, but we will have Consul General Lamont Maurice L. and Teach and Lady J there next Friday, and that's where we can actually talk. We can talk, and we can give you the what and how to, and the what you must do. Especially if you're in the DMV area, there's a regular class that you can go to. And I shout out to Sister Gloria, who has started the class at my suggestion and told me how much she enjoys Teach. So great, appreciate that. Shout out to Brother Kush Day, who is in the chat. Appreciate you. Got to get you back on the show. It's been a while. But yeah, so I just wanted to interject that. But we, people are asking us to address Nasera and Gesera, because one of the things that's one of the things that of course Dr. Kia Pruitt is very much on top of, and I can't that's really a promise, right? I can give you, I hope, let me put it this way, I hope that it does what they say it's going to do. Because there's so much good that could be done if, in fact, now that's it. But I do want to preface that by what I said earlier, is that the reset that's been tied to this reset. And what folks don't know is, a lot of folks didn't know, because a lot more know now. Now they're looking at mud floods and Tartarian society and all those things that are, the old buildings and what's built, buried, and all that. They're saying, oh, wait a minute. They're reading about the Antarctic and they're finding out that resets in the past were very much similar to what we're seeing with these catastrophes that destroyed 36 civilization and started over with the little babies, or made them some Cabbage Patch babies and stuff. Y'all, it's some stuff, some real stuff that they was doing, some diabolical, it wasn't just they cloned Tyrone with them people down there. They've been doing this.
Let's get real.
They've been doing this.
The point of it is,
so
this is what
the resets in the past, like I said, have not been, oh, now you're going to get your money's going to be revalued, your so-called money or fiat. It's been, we're going to get rid of as many as we can and start all over with the folks that don't know what you know.
And so that they're not pitchforked.
So I hope it happens. In other words, I hope, because I got boatloads of so-called foreign currency.
See, and remember just the deal. Currency is not much.
It's still fiat.
Now, see, this is this is what it is, Dr. J. As the world is waking up, they're buying time. Like even on the flash drive, when we remind people to read civil orders. As a matter of fact, I was a young sister had approached me at the mall the other day, and I had a conversation with her. Wanted me to sign up to vote, and so I asked her to give a little bit of background on the Whittemore Convention that she's working for, and of course she didn't know. And then I made the relationship that's what she's working for. And the very fact that she doesn't even know what she's working for is part of the problem. It's not a rejection. I know you meaning well, but it hurts me. And I'm looking at you, and then the brother that came over and talked to you, and and I'm noticing that all these chocolate melanated people walking around with these boards, getting people to sign up. I didn't see one European doing it. And they thinking they're going to get a benefit voting for the sister because she's under the codes. We couldn't have a long conversation, but the fact that just fraud continues so comfortably and unchallenged. You know, I understand it, I comprehend it, doesn't stop it from hurting because I recognize another generation sacrificed. You know, and of course we continue to do what we do, and hopefully that even this issue with 3124 is more or less for small businesses that don't know they're getting ready to get squeezed out. That's who it's really directed to. That's who that's really directed to. Right. And of course, the proper person comes into that, but there's no need arguing that right now with them, even though the principle's there, because they won't have time to be piecemealing everyone. They're just going to be liquidating, in other words, we're trying to buy time for our people and for some people who don't know that they're under attack. They don't know that they're on, and this is what makes it bad. Like when someone's aware that they're under attack, and even if they don't do anything, they're not necessarily blindsided. They're blindsided because they really don't know they're under attack. And no different than, signals that we've been given in the last month and a half, and, piecemeal, jumping around, giving keys, and knew that some people would pick up the signals, some didn't, right? And then people are settled. They ain't going to just get up and move because you're in their mind prophesying something. You understand?
And I know, and you know what? Here, let me say this, y'all. My mentality is that I can change anything, and we can change anything, but you got to be in the mindset.
You have to have the will.
You have to have the will to, and your frequency has got to be such that you don't allow yourself to work on. We talk about the workshop of the mind in your subconscious. We take in so much stuff. Sometimes you don't realize what you have subconsciously taken in. Well, your subconscious don't know whether you want it, you don't want it. It just knows that it's down there in the workshop, and it starts manifesting stuff unless you are very strategic about what you focus your attention and your energy on. Where your thoughts go, your energy flows. So if you are worried about losing your home you might or you may not. But you must put yourself in the mindset of whatever takes place, I'm going to be all right. Me and mine are matter of fact, we're already all right. And then do the things, you gotta have some action with it. So you have to do some things to prepare. And you have said sometimes, maybe for some of us, it may be too late but it's not for everybody. It's never too late to start doing the right thing to protect you and yours. And the first place that starts is with your mind. You can't be in a mindset of fear, because what you fear, what did Job say? The thing that I feared the most
that
is come upon me.
That also feeds it.
It means I manifested that.
It feeds it.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So you got to make sure that what you want is what you working on, what you setting down into that workshop, that subconscious workshop, so that when it starts manifesting your protection for you and yours, even if the whole damn world is falling down around you, you protect it.
Now, back to Dr. G, what you call Nisara and Gasara, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is review, and like we talk about, sometimes certain things are redundant. That's why I remind people to read the letter from Pope Francis to Obama, because it would have in there about Nisara and Gasara. Then you would also understand why years ago, or I think it was around 17 or something like that, across the street, and I said to you, people often misjudge what I'm saying when I say Trump is assigned. I'm not supporting Trump. Neither one of them is good for us. Yeah. This is what must be understood. But I could see the energy around him, that in him maintaining his position, it would expose the system. If he, meaning that, but I know that their influence of their infighting has to do with the treasury bond loop that the nations would stop buying. But what I was saying there 7 years ago is what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where, like you see, Japan, last month, start dumping U.S. treasuries. They're an ally. You start seeing after they blew up Nord Stream, Germany has lost its industry, and that's the #1 economy in Europe, right? Mm-hmm. And so I already knew then that Germany being the #1 economy in Europe, that their industrial base would be dismantled, because I understand the geopolitics, not because I'm making judgment on them. But that's what you're experiencing right now, right? So Volkswagen is in trouble. That's why I said last year, I said, what? BMW is going to move their works here and some to China. But then what did Trump do? He did 100% tariff on Chinese cars, because they already knew, and we already knew, that China was focusing on perfecting the electrical vehicle that was being ignored here because they want to keep us back, if you get the point. Mm-hmm. Now it's biting them in the butt. So what is it doing is killing the auto industry here. So that means everything here is obsolete. Now, people who can't see like that, even though it's there, I know that most people look at things in current. They don't look at things in layers. I know that. I'm not arguing that. Mm-hmm. But when you comprehend how things really function, you know, politicians are trained to look in things on multi levels. Mm-hmm. It's not what they talk to the public about. But yet these people are controlling these people's estates. And these people keep believing in these people.
I mean, and they're only a bunch of actors, just like anybody in the DC,
a de facto
Virginia area. A couple of nights ago, they said that their things were falling out the sky. Mm-hmm. They were calling them UFOs or whatever. But it never came on mainstream media. But you know what they're doing? They know whatever it is they're doing. They might have been doing it because they're trying to prepare the people for their fake invasion,
to divert your attention from them. Everything is to divert. It's called projection.
Yeah.
Right. They're projecting.
Yeah.
Right. And as a matter of fact, a lot of times when you look at some of the people who are making negative, they don't necessarily always mean harm, but in their mind, for what they think they know, they'll make a negative attack thinking that they're getting what emotional satisfaction, not knowing that we're throwing them a life raft. You know, this is why you can't get attached.
Right.
If you can't take it personal. But the deal of it is, these people are going to be hurt badly.
Yeah. Even
to the point of loss of physical life.
Yeah.
But they don't see it as being that serious.
Well, it's already happening with these floods. Like this sister said, that over 10,000 have lost their life. We're not hearing that on mainstream.
That's a low number.
Yeah, and we're not even hearing that on the MSM. They're not telling us that. You know what I mean? So it just lets you know that this underhand, they're never gonna. A lot of those folks will never be found. Their bodies are washed.
They're not your friend. They're. We don't want to overemphasize it, but for those who have ears to hear, they're not your friends. Stop calling them your government. They are de facto, which means they're imposters. They've been waging war on you, and the manifest of those acts are manifesting now, which is what you're seeing. But they were not unplanned. They were planned. A lot of their power to act is because the people kept supporting them, even when we were speaking out.
Do you think if we had civics, proper, civics, and knew the law, we would be enforcing the Constitution, and they would have
never gotten this far.
Yes, right.
But in other words, we're we're reaping what we have allowed to be sown. We're not taking responsibility of self, for transferring our divine sovereignty to a criminal body and not taking responsibility to preserve and protect it. And then attacking people who were bringing that to your notice as if we were doing something to you for telling you what was happening to all of us, not just you, us. We're included. And many people who are acting on the knowledge were actually being attacked as being renegade or outside of order for telling the truth. However, that truth, the egg is not cracking, it's already hatched. You just haven't seen the dragon.
Yeah.
Because the dragon is still operating in the shadows, but the dragon is already out. And they're devouring humans.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this up here good. For anybody that doesn't have our USB drive, again, especially in terms of the taxation and the getting out of certain things, I dropped the little nugget the last time we were on. I said there was something.
You've always done that.
There was something on the flash. If you have it, just start exploring it. There's a folder on there, and it starts with the name. The name on it starts with a Y. That's all I'm gonna say. In that folder is some very, 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 very valuable information that'll help you if you have it already. If you don't, then make sure that you order your USB drive so that you can have that. And like I said, there's about 7 folders on there, and all of them are packed full of something. They have something that we felt would be of value. We started out with just the one folder with just Taj Tarik Bey folder, but now it's expanded. But there is a wealth of information and knowledge on that USB drive.
And remember this, much of the choice of the material that's placed on there is years of scholarship from different levels that logically most of the people listening haven't lived the years to gain it. That's number one. Number two, most people who have that knowledge don't share it. They sell it. You get the point?
And not for
pieces of
not
it.
For 25
pieces. No, pieces. They sell pieces of it in different institutions. Are we clear? Like me, as an example.
You're right, Frank Briggs Bey.
You know, and this is why a lot of people are angry at us, because what it does, it neutralizes many of their pilfering opportunities that are in the established norm, what people assume to be established norm. So logically, people in law firms don't like us because we remove a lot of the false jurisdictions that are played on people that generate finance that makes lawyers rich, right? So they attack us on that level. Many people who have titles in different organizations, etc., including organizations that we're part of, get angry because they can't pacify the people and bullshit them while people are being sacrificed under the pretext of being spiritual. While they know certain truths, but they know if they tell the truth, that empties their pockets, if you get the point. Because remember, you know, just like Drew Ali say, be careful, Moors. Some of your own people wearing turbans and feathers will be trying to put you back into slavery. So don't assume because somebody got a turban and a fez on that they won't feed you to the lions, because they daggone sure will.
Melanie Moisture, we have never sent out a flash drive with a page on it. You need to send me a copy or text of your order, or send it back, and then I will replace it, because we never had a flash drive with one page on it.
I never heard of that.
No, we have a system over here that duplicates the flash drives.
Send the flash drive back.
Just send it back, and I will send you another one. I would, no problem. But now, you have to send it back, because I've never seen that.
For the sake of information, Dr. J.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way,
and anybody who wanted to know how to get one, is going across the screen right now at the bottom. somebody asks how they can order, you could just send a text to that number and we'll send you the link.
As we've talked, right? And we, when you said, because I was busy really,
Right.
you know, and you said, Taj, give me the class for Friday. You know you're late, right? And
Yeah.
I'm running around up there trying to take care of business, catching up.
Hold on just a minute.
And
hold that point. Melanie sent it to 602 Vandever Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware 19802. House of Reawakening Minds, 602 Vandever Ave, Wilmington, Delaware 19802. Go ahead.
All right. And you said, we've already done taxes. I said, I have my reasons.
Right.
You know, but again, and I know a lot of times it gets redundant with people, and you'll hear me mention to people to keep your head clear, Every once in a while, as a matter of fact, print it out, put it on the wall. Read the Traficant letter so that you don't fall back into sleep.
Right.
Because your everyday living is part of the animal husbandry mind control, but we underestimate the mind control. We actually do. Even people are conscious. Underestimate MK Ultra. That they're attacking us daily. They don't sleep. We do. I repeat, they do not sleep. We do. While we're sleeping, they're already plotting on you weeks and years ahead, knowing that. And I know it's uncomfortable for all of us. You cannot afford to not be diligent. And I know it's we're not attacking you by telling you to remain diligent, even though some people keep taking it personal. We're trying to help you save yourself from beasts that you still don't know as beasts. You know, so these people who keep thinking that we're being untoward, saying de facto government, don't understand that these people in West Carolinas and East Kentucky have been actually sacrificed, because that was not a natural storm. The basis of it was manipulated. The people are being sacrificed for corporate profit. In other words, these people who the ignorant have been calling their government before most of them were born had already pledged their bodies, their labor, and their offspring to the Khazarian mafia that you know as the Federal Reserve, that are not your government. They're inquisitionists. And the people keep saying, oh, the unum sanctum, that was years ago with the popes of Rome in 1493. And I'm telling you, it's today.
They do 1,000-year plans, and they do generational plans that they keep carrying it on and on and on. So it's like,
you know, and I understand, because a lot of times we're redundant while other things are going around. And what do we keep coming back to? What we've told people 45 years ago.
Yeah.
People don't know that a lot of things we've been involved with are part of the distractions. They take them as important because they're emphasized by those who are feeding on the people. You know, but it's like it's like this, Dr. G. Someone who can't swim, you throw them a life raft, and they want to have a discussion with you, the color of it, while the current is moving. And why would you throw them a plaid life raft when they're Muslim or they're Christian, and you're trying to tell them, well, grab the life raft, get to shore, we'll discuss that later. No, I want to discuss the color of this life raft. that you just threw me that doesn't match my beliefs. And this is kind of what we're dealing with. This is another reason why you can't get attached,
Right.
because they will burn you. And you have to be strong enough to move to the next one, knock the dust off your heels, move to the next one, and hope that you can spur the spirit in a few that are willing to take responsibility, to be in honor, and use their common sense and attach it to the common law and enforce it to save themselves. You can't save them. They have to. And then you can't be preoccupied with those who are telling you to save them when they must save themselves, because they're in this with the syndrome of the sacrificial lamb, which means they don't want responsibility. They want you to bear their cross, not understanding that's not what happens now. This is in the Aquarian light. That is not allowed. That's Piscean death. The sacrificial lamb on the altar is Piscean death. The Aquarian light does not allow that. You're in a new era. You know, this is what they're a code. This is the code. Jesus came with blessings, fish and corn to the people. They ignored him and talking about we waiting for him to come next time. Now we're going to do what we want to do. They don't understand that when he came this time, he came with a sword. So they're looking at two different characters.
And they're
How
not,
many
they're
people
looking for
haven't paid
something
attention to that?
Right. They're not looking for the energy that's coming back. And the energy that's going to come. Yeah. The spirit or the energy of the return is one of, you know, I'm going to cut you going and coming.
Call it vengeance.
You can call it
vengeance. You can call it vengeance. You can call it reward. You can call it effect of cause. You can call it reap what you sow. You can call it all mask or off. You can call it cash your check. You can call it revelation. Many names that mean the same thing. It means the game is up. That's what it really means. And it doesn't respect person or station. And people are still trying to interject that mental paradigm that we are special and it doesn't concern us. Well, it does. Whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, we don't have time to argue that. We don't. For the few who will listen, we just gave you a few more keys. It's up to you to act on it, or you can choose to not act on it. You have that right. It's called whosoever will. You can hear it, or you can reject it. You're not charged, and we're not charged. We're just sharing. However, the storm is on. It's current. Some things you don't see because many of those who are initiators or part of the storm are protecting themselves because they control the narrative. It's not that it's not here. It is. They know if some of this stuff gets revealed immediately, that you won't be paying attention to the border, the immigrant problem. You won't be paying attention to the Diddy cover-up sacrifice. We're not talking about who's innocent or who's guilty. We're talking about they're sacrificing gatekeepers to hide themselves. But in the matters of Diddy, right? Not personally. This is something for all of you to look up, right? Write this down. Performance insurance policies. Repeat. Non-performance insurance policies. Then review in your mind and things that you're going to learn about Tupac, Biggie, Sam Cooke, Red Fox, Whitney Houston, her daughter, Prince, Michael Jackson, Tito, and others. Billie Holiday, and it's not a new pattern. I won't go into it so that we don't get shut down. Understand they're sacrificing some gatekeepers to protect themselves, but it's still human sacrifice. It's still human sacrifice, and it's not new. Are we clear? That gives you something to look for so that you're not blinded by the public narrative. But I say to you, none of it is what you have been thinking or told that it is. But we the people, have an opportunity to change the pattern by stop serving the system. I know the temptation is there because we keep thinking we're going to get wealthy, thinking we're going to own stuff. You're being run through a ringer. That's why I tell people to keep your head clear, read the traffic letter. And then you see me over the years mention the so-called tractor turning over on him on his flat farm. And of course, people think it's just stuff that we're talking about because it's interesting and it's important to us, not understanding that we're warning them actually for themselves.
This. What is this new bill they just passed to give the military the power to shoot down American civilians if they seem a threat to the elite power?
Isn't that unum sanctum? Isn't that de facto? Have we not been telling the people that they're de facto? Isn't that war powers? Mm-hmm. Isn't that Trading with the Enemy Act? That's 1917. Mm-hmm. How often have we on this show, Dr. G, literally shown the people the incorporation papers of the corporation? And many people, including trolls that are sent by the poverty law firm, will get on here and tell the people that we're out to lunch.
Well, I know they're saying black, but they're saying truckers are being hung in the forest, claiming suicide. I just heard about some guy that was found hanging in a tree, but he's...
No, he was a sacrifice.
Okay.
You know, it's sort of like the energies that we collectively have been feeding into the system. We need to start protecting ourselves and our families.
Yeah, I understand that there was a trucker saying that they were going down to the flood area to take, and they all of the ones that were taking supplies, their tires were slashed. All their tires were slashed.
Exactly.
So they
keep thinking that
FEMA.
No, they keep thinking FEMA is there to help the people. They're waging war on the people.
And did you see the video where they had a staging site with the supplies and things for people, and the helicopter came over and blew purposely and blew everything everywhere, like
why?
Right in front of their faces. Yeah.
What will happen? This is Dr. G. They know if these people got in some of these areas, they will discover mass graves. Number one, or evidence of it. Right? Mm-hmm. They will discover that there are hunters out there, just like Hunger Games, with uniforms on. And the people are actually the targets. See, they can't allow the people to recognize that they're doing a reset. They just don't believe that these people are sacrificing humans. Even though with a little bit of digging, it becomes evident, right? What happened with the storm, Dr. G? Even before the flood came into full force, I told the people to look at the Atlantic from southeast to the south to the directly to the north, and from Louisiana Territory from the south to the northeast. And I told them to look at the color venues of the cloud formations, with the European model and the U.S. model, and they'll see energies. and people looking at the storm and not paying attention to those subtleties. Why did I say that? Because I know how they work. And of course, those about among you who are designated as they would give you different names, right?
Mhm.
Remote viewers would see it, right?
Mhm.
Some people who have prophetic mind see it, right? And many of you know that if you said anything, people would attack you. So some of you didn't say anything, right? Because you know you have a tendency to get attacked if you tell the people that you have insight, right? And also you become a target, right? So you know that. So I'm not condemning those who don't talk, but I know that you're out there, you know, and so it's kind of difficult when you're trying to help people save themselves from the beast that they don't believe is the beast, because they keep thinking it's just something that they read in the Bible and it's allegorical. Well, it is and it isn't. These people actually are demons for real. You know, and then others will cover it up with the Carlos Linnaeus mind control system of racism to divert your attention from what's really happening, and it's really human sacrifice. For real. Do the best you can to help those who are willing to be helped. And knowing that, see, they can't hide it for so long because the collapse of the economic trade system has already happened. So they're diverting the people's attention to try to hold off the reality of it smashing, not smacking the people, smashing the people in the face. They're trying to hold it off through their controlled trustee transfer. Their trustee transfer operations, they're calling the presidential election. Total fiction. There's no presidential election. Hasn't been since 1871. These are trustee fiduciary transfers.
Selections.
They're selected and they pacify the people to make them think that they have a vote. Most of these people don't even know what a plebiscite is, but they think they have a vote. The paid off and controlled Khazarian electoral Congress puts the people in place, and they're bought off by certain people that claim a certain religion that really run the corporation for the popes of Rome, that you think are different religions, and they're all in partnership. John 8:44, and also refer to the synagogue of S. That's the real politics, whether you like it or not, what you believe or not. I'm not arguing with you. I just told you the truth. Accept it or reject it, do what you will. However, we're trying to help a few of the people and the families that have some LLCs that they think they possess something, so that they don't get totally destroyed within this next couple months, right? That you can start making it difficult for them. You're not going to stop it all, but some of you will be able to survive enough to get your heads together to do some things to kind of save your families to a degree. Because understand it's all coming down. So I'm not trying to act like we're going to save anything in the sense that you may look at it, but that you're not destroyed. Meaning that if you're thrown in the river and drowning, if we can get you to shore coughing, at least you have a chance to live. We're talking that from a pseudo estate principle, because you're not allowed to have money. However, keep in mind, part of their power is to keep you believing that you're being paid, keep you believing that you have money, keep you believing that they're working for you. It's important to them because they can be hurt just like you're hurt. But long as you're looking up to them, they know that you're not going to try to hurt them. Then while you're in that state of mind, they can get you to hurt each other, blaming each other for what's happening to you and not paying to the wizard behind the curtain. Because understand, the curtain's already been pulled, but people are acting like they don't see the Wizard of Oz. They're pretending they don't because they don't want the responsibility to deal with it. You know, so the flying monkeys are all around them, and they're still talking about they just want to go home. They ain't got no home. We got FEMA. No, FEMA is an army to reduce the population.
I forgot what he said, but Eddie Griffin said what FEMA stands for. If y'all have not checked out comedian Eddie Griffin's channel on YouTube, Eddie Griffin, his name.
Yeah,
y'all need to check him out. He's so outspoken. He's the what do you call it? The Jaguar right of everything else, and he does not bite his tongue about everything.
But they know that pretty much people like that are honest are usually not taken serious.
Well,
they laugh, but they're not taken serious. Some listen.
Check him out, Eddie Griffin. Yeah, he's telling the whole truth, and he don't seem to care. Matter of fact, he's going to be here in Wilmington on the 2nd.
Oh yeah, I talked to him what, a year and a half ago on the phone.
Yeah, but
he's up on a lot of things.
Oh yeah,
you know, he's up on a lot of things.
That's right. The NN News. Check him out. Check out Eddie Griffin, because he going, you know. And while you're at it, please, if you have not pressed like, give us some like if you like us. We're not asking you for anything but a like. You know, so you know, before you leave. Now I've been doing that more for the people that I watch, because I'm like, yeah, we do that so often. We watch stuff and then we just click.
Because remember, even when you do,
but
they'll knock the numbers down anyway.
If I like it, I'm gonna click I like it.
They'll knock the numbers down anyway, so that the algorithm doesn't push the information.
Yeah,
we have many more viewers than they will acknowledge.
Right.
You know, just like what we know.
We should be at least 100,000 of y'all by now. We only we had 38. So
but they know if they do that,
then they have to give us one of them little thingies. And they don't want to. They don't want to. They don't want to. They don't give us. They don't.
Look at this honestly, Dr. J.
They don't give us any compensation. They don't want to give us that little window thing.
Let's look at this, Dr. J.
Yes.
What do you know that even makes sense? That doesn't make sense.
A lot of stuff.
There's a fan club in Japan. You know that.
Yes.
There's a fan club in China. You know that.
Yeah. In the Caribbean.
There's a fan club in Ecuador.
In UK.
You know that.
In the UK.
In the UK.
In the Caribbean. Caribbean. Yeah.
In Borican.
Yeah.
You know the numbers don't match. We already know that. No need to argue it. The issue is to do what we can do. Trust that there's enough honorable people within the few that they allow to come through, or that are not emotionally hampered, that will deal with honesty and truth to help the people.
Yeah, look, thank you.
Share.
Thank you, Sith Ward. That's exactly what he said FEMA stands for. Everybody, mostly Americans. And you're right. Yeah, I couldn't remember exactly.
But you got to keep in mind who the Americans really are. Because remember, part of the spiritual projection is why they keep claiming to be Americans.
Yeah.
When actually they're hybrid albions. And this is back to people keep forgetting that we've been colonized. It's not about racism, it's about colonization and decolonization that makes everyone uncomfortable on both sides. That's understandable. It has nothing to do in the context that people often place it under the fiction of racism, when it's actually an issue of colonization and its effects, and decolonization and its effects.
And you know what I don't think they like? The fact that, and the prophet said this, but so many, you know, modern Europeans are coming out telling the truth, and they digging into this truth, and they going, wait a minute, we were miseducated too.
Well,
we were and they're standing up giving, especially that's why they get rid of
this is
TikTok.
why you don't play
like
into the race game.
Yeah, I
it's
don't.
to keep people fighting each other rather than the Khazarian mafia, who really runs the schools, the banks, and the corporate institutions, and own literally the Congress of the United States Corporation Company, who keeps pretending to be legitimate government, but don't serve the people. They serve themselves and BlackRock.
Yeah, I looked at a video the other day on the black codes, and I think it's a husband and wife that have that, and they did an awesome presentation. Like, and you talk about the black codes, it's the yard barrels, it's called the black codes, the yard barrels. Let me see if y'all can see that. I don't think you can. Where'd it go? Anyway, they are spelled, where'd it go? Oh my God, here it is. They are YARBROS, the Yarbros. Hidden, even though it says black, hidden black history schools will never teach. And they have one on the black codes this one was excellent. And they go into when we were working together side, but who would original. It's excellent. It's only 29 minutes and it's excellent. So y'all look up YARBROS, black codes. Frand Sheik been telling you about the codes. He calls them the Christian black codes. They call them the black codes, but they go in 30 minutes, and under 30 minutes, they go in depth to when we were in Congress or the Senate, or what we were when we were this, and how things flipped.
Now you understand
what they did in Wilmington,
the birth
North
of a
Carolina.
nation. Yeah. When you understand, when they had the pictures of the Moors with the coattails eating chicken and watermelon mockery, and they told them step down or die. Now you get into the real history. Then you get into the conversion of a state under the George administration. Why they don't teach of the presidents before. In other words, it's even though it's documented, which I had you read before, it's there. Now, isn't it interesting, Dr. J, how you could read what you read, right? And it's there in the congressional records,
right?
And yet you see these people claiming to be Blacks and Indians won't teach that truth to the people because it also exposes their platforms. And what happens is you have people worshiping them rather than the cause. The cause is the issue, not the personalities that stand before the people, quote unquote, as leaders pushing the cause. People keep getting that confused.
Yeah.
The responsibility of the preservation of the nation is everybody's duties, not just one person or a group of people. It is the people at large. And those who would take responsibility for instruction must always remind the people that the birthright belongs to the people, not the people who hold title. They only take temporary responsibility to maintain purity of information to keep the people clear. Not unlike, I say the baptizer or someone who maintains whose duty is to keep the bathtub clean. You don't own the water nor the tub. It belongs to the people.
We're getting ready to go, but here's a question. I know. Can you give info what one can do while in a homeless shelter?
The same thing that we've always told the people. Study right of estate, reversion of estate, and understand why many of our people are in the homeless shelters, which we've been trying to block that for years, talking about reclamation of estate, reversion of estate, i.e., we're not poor, we're being robbed.
So,
and then, of course, the status and the black codes operations and the conversion of estate, part of even why we're talking this tax issue. Because Write this down and don't forget this. Tithe. T-I-T-H-E. It's hidden today under the word tax. That's why you're in the homeless shelter. We're trying to stop it from happening to our people on a larger scale, but they must be participants in their own liberation. And because we've been groomed under a controlled narrative, we're sharing information to start reversing these conditions.
Before we go.
And fundamentally, Dr. G,
yeah,
what Drew Ali said, help me in my great missionary work to bring our people back into the constitutional fold of government, enforcing our Constitution for the United States. Pardon me. That's what makes the document important, because people think it has nothing to do with us, and it was actually put in place to preserve us from the tyranny that was in place that's now operative because we've neglected our responsibility to maintain the integrity of the supreme law of the land, which includes Constitution and treaty, to which our people have been ignoring, following colored groups created by a group of people claiming a certain religion and paying into Negro, colored, black codes against ourselves because we didn't want to honor our mothers and fathers, thinking it didn't relate to us. Well, it does, even if you reject it, and you have a right to reject it, but there's a reward that goes with it. It's called the Black Code Systems of 1724, adopted in all the corporate states under the United States Corporation Company, that was put in place to overthrow the republic that preserved the rights of the people. With that, I yield the floor.
Don't go anywhere. Y'all who like to tune right out, stop for what you're doing. I got a couple announcements you need to hear. So Frand Sheik mentioned we had to reschedule. I had to reschedule my last Tuesday's broadcast. It's coming up this Tuesday, the 22nd, especially for those of you who don't listen to Office Hours with Dr. G. Tuesday, the 22nd is already posted up there. Civics, law, adverse possession, and more. That's Tuesday at 8 p.m. With the brother Jaleel Bey, who wrote the book Forbidden Civics, and let me see, what is his other book, Land of the Free, Home of the Slave. He also has successfully teaches you how to use adverse possession, and has, been very successful with that. And he does teach that. He also has a book on what is it? You're Not Born in Sin, and then /SSN.
Consider this too, Dr. G.
Yeah.
Right. These fundamental truths, right? Because remember, a lot of people think a lot of things that we're sharing is merely our opinion. We're dealing with documented facts, or i.e. forbidden civics. But yet everything you do in the outside world is civic in nature. Why is it conveniently not in the view or the venues of these people that's been promoting all kinds of beliefs while they practice it in secret? And I guarantee you, all of these big time clergy people got trusts, and they're living quite well at the expense of the widow's pennies, while using the different prophets as a front. I repeat, as a front, while they're living at the expense of the poor. They have this knowledge too. It's not in their interest, because they would have to do what? Simplify their lives and stop stealing the widow's pennies. Oh, these great money changers, they're all being exposed. Now, as far as again, you all want to know what really happened to Tupac, Biggie, Sam Cooke, Billie Holiday, Whitney Houston, and it goes on, Big Mac, and many other brothers.
Pimp C.
Look up
DMX.
Look up non-performance insurance policies and trace it to the people who are actually controlling them. Then you'll understand why they're sacrificing, quote unquote, Diddy to hide themselves. Diddy's a small pawn in the game. However, the problem that they're having is that the rest of the world is starting to come at them relative to their reserve currency status, which they've used to conquer and to deceive the whole world. Now the world is turning on them. You here at the North, most of you are still asleep. So your view of the world is through colored glasses that they're controlling. However, they're getting shattered. And so just simply be prepared, be strong, be honorable, love one another, and want to do good for real, not for fake, for real. I yield the floor.
Don't go, because I wasn't finished. All right. That's all right. I got one more shout out to Teach and Lady J in the house. All right. I have one more announcement that I want to make sure you guys see. And that is on next Friday at the House of Reawakening Minds. We have our 4th Friday event. And so Frand Sheik and myself, I will be actually, for those who can be taken away for 10 minutes or so, I will be doing scans. I'm going to be doing a few AO scans. If you all know about the AO scan, it's dynamic. We have Teach and Lady J, and we have Consul General Lamont Maurice L. So y'all been wondering where he is and all. He'll be at the House of Reawakening Minds along with Teach, Lady J, Frand Sheik, and myself next Friday at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:30. We hope that those who can make it. And it's been, we had a great turnout last month.
Oh yeah.
We want you to come on out and be part of our in-person, where some of those things that we can't say, a lot of those things.
Be prepared to take notes, please.
Yeah, please. Yeah, come with your notepad and pen and
law dictionary if you have it.
Yeah.
Be prepared, because keep in mind, like we talked in the last couple sessions, Dr. G, they're liquidating estates. And even though a lot of people don't comprehend what we've been telling them, we're talking the real geopolitics. And people who have not taken what we've been telling them seriously are going to suffer greatly. And even those who know will be in a struggle to preserve what they have left. So we're not going to ask you, and we're not going to beat you beat you with a stick to try to tell you to listen. Do what you choose to do. The storm is not coming. The storm is on.
Okay.
I yield the floor.
All right, y'all. Well, listen, this is this has been awesome. Our time is up. Islam, we've enjoyed, of course, as always, being here with you. Hope you will tune in on Tuesday, the 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern, when Brother Jaleel Bey will be my guest. He's going to talk about, bin civics, about adverse possession. Some of you are, it was interesting when he talked about that with me. He was like, you don't go after properties where people have an active interest in it. You got to know what it is that you do, what you do.
So what are we doing? That's a civic activity that's been practiced by Europeans all the time. Is how they've been gentrifying your communities. It's not racism. They've been using law, legal process, but not always lawful process. So when people who are stepping forth to try to help our people learn how the system works, they're often attacked and rejected. And logically, when you start doing things that actually benefit the people, you're going to have pushback. That's why you have to have study. Why? A leech resists when you pull them off your arm. You know, when you start wearing turtleneck sweaters around vampires, logically they're going to get upset. That doesn't make you wrong for wearing turtleneck sweaters when you go into the dark cave. Because you know how you say, oh, it's a passion mark. No, it's vampirism.
Right.
They just don't think that these people are really beasts. They really don't. And it's really interesting when our whole history with them is bestiality.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, the whole history is one of abuse and pain. And our people still trying to be a part of that club. 14th Amendment.
We out here.
Yeah, well. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Have a grand evening.
Good evening. Grand evening. Grand evening.
The deeper and deeper I go, I find what it is I should know. 'Cause it's just a matter of time that you'll reawaken your mind. Oh, come with me, come to know and find out what is true. Then you'll know what's in store just for you. No more living a lie. I can look to the sky and say, I'm reawakening minds. Come to know and find out what is truth, yes. Then you'll know what's in store just for you. No more living a lie. I can look to the sky and say, I'm reawakening minds.